From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Friday's edition of For the People on this July the 21st, 2017. And as the headlines from yesterday go, OJ on the loose. And I remember, like it was almost yesterday, as a matter of fact, where the People's Radio Network that used to carry this broadcast with Chuck Harteau, Chuck would say, and we'd have promos running saying no OJ, because it really was an OD of the continuous coverage of O.J. Simpson and the trials, but people were glued to it. I mean, they just couldn't keep themselves. They were captivated by it because of just the heinousness, I suppose, of the crime itself and the savagery of O.J. and how he was able to just walk away from all of that. And then he got in trouble. And a lot of people say because of the memorabilia and because of the guns, and as we remember, a little over 9 years ago, where there were guns involved. He was trying to get back his stuff, as he said, and he's spent a little over 9 years now in prison. And we got a really good look at O.J. Simpson, and not the same O.J. Simpson, obviously older, but thinner, and appears to be actually for O.J. Simpson, in good spirits, and was kind of a big deal. A lot of people are talking about what this means for O.J. and where he's going and what we can look forward to. Of course, there's people that are not feeling so good about the whole thing. Here's a little of O.J. from yesterday. Little montage for you.
I wish this would have never happened. There's nothing I can do about this kind of media circus that's going on right now. If I would have made a better judgment back then, none of this would have happened. I take full responsibility.
Takes full responsibility. Like I say, I've said it, and so many other Americans have said this about O.J., about him getting back in jail. Basically, a lot of people said, why did he get as much time as he got? He got away with murder, seemingly, and basically the way Geraldo Rivera put it on the air, and I thought he'd done so well because he was a guy who had covered this thing very methodically and was there from the very beginning, was, in essence, he walked around arrogant and pretty much gave the finger to Nevada and to California and just walked around really arrogant, and they stuck it to him for this. And everybody knew. I mean, remember Johnny Cochran? He's not around anymore, but he was the famous black attorney in Los Angeles that got him acquitted, but with a glove. Remember, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. It was very catchy. But, man, it's amazing what money will do to keep somebody on the loose. And I just say this. Look, it's a killer on the loose. O.J. Simpson is a killer. A cold-blooded killer. There's no other way to look at it. He gruesomely killed Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. Almost cut her head off entirely. I mean, how do you do that? She's the mother of your children, I'll never know. But he did, and there was blood and DNA all over the place. Just most bizarre, if you will, for what happened. But we're going to listen to a little bit of some of the audio, and I just want you to kind of hear what went down yesterday. A lot of you, obviously working, didn't have time to be able to give for the details. I was debating whether or not I even should go here, or even talk about it, but I really feel like it's necessary because of OJ and some thoughts that I have personally, and also many people in the talk radio and television circuit. They're all going to be doing specials and shows. And the biggest thing for OJ is getting back on television, because somebody's going to bid very highly to get the first interview for OJ. That's what networks do to get the highest ratings. And it'll be interesting to see who actually ponies up and puts the most money in. And it's really sad, but ratings that's what networks live and die for. It'll be interesting to see who is the highest bidder on it, but it'll be like an auction. He needs money, but he's got a pension from the NFL, so he's going to go back to Florida, and he's going to hang a little bit. It's basically what he's going to do. He's going to hang out. Isn't that just something else? All right, was this all about memorabilia, kind of just thinking back? Geraldo Rivera, folks.
These were the
All right, that's not Geraldo. No. Geraldo Rivera, it's with a G. Okay, we'll get that queued up. No problem. Yeah, we got a new system in. They can't see it. They can obviously hear it. But yeah, it's the memorabilia deal. He was just trying to cover that up, basically. The victim came forward and said that they're pals, they're buddies, and they get along just fine, which is just absolutely amazing. But yeah, the memorabilia is what really got him locked up in California. But ultimately, a lot of people think it was the murder. So I have to reiterate that karma is but a you know what, and I think for OJ, no telling what will actually come next. Here is OJ and Shepard Smith kind of going back and forth, where OJ is kind of talking a little trash about the memorabilia and things.
Complete fraud.
I told
He wrote a book about it.
I told you I'd handle it. You know, I've told all the news networks for over a year now. This guy is ridiculous, but you know,
I'm taking from all the guys telling me I should sue this guy.
I will. They believe what they want to believe. You know.
They do. Sensationalism.
You get
squashed everything
ice cream
as quickly as possible.
Cookies. I mean, it's infantile.
This is all well and good, but I was there and every single day for this evidence. And this man's blood goes from the crime scene to his car to his bathroom at his estate, and from Rockingham to Bundy, a full trail of blood going the whole way. There's more evidence against this man than any case I've ever covered. And to this day, he laughs at the reporters who covered him, because how could they even say such things?
Yeah, Shepard Smith fired up. Geraldo really fired about him. But what's next for Geraldo Rivera? I think not for Geraldo Rivera, but what's next for O.J. Simpson with Geraldo Rivera areas?
I think that going to Florida, where he has adult children, these kids were so young when the crimes happened. They are very loyal to their father now, despite the fact that, as the universe and the Almighty knows, he killed their mom. Still, they are loyal to their dad a quarter of a century later. I think that he has a reasonable possibility of having a nice life with them. He has the NFL pension. One of the reasons Florida is so attractive to him is the homestead laws that, money that he can obtain legally and invest in a home. His last home in Florida was foreclosed when he was in prison. But if he can invest in a home in Florida, it would be protected, that investment, even from some of the creditors who are seeking, retribution from him. I think that's a smart move for him. Whether or not he stays out of trouble, though, I think that is highly problematic, unless he had some kind of brainectomy behind bars there.
Yeah, doesn't look likely. Still arrogant, still pompous, and, should I say, still very much a killer. So back in the Sunshine State, terrific. That's where I live. Oh, Lord. Luckily, I believe he'll be much further south towards the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. I'm in Tampa, so that'll be great. We'll just keep OJ out of the Tampa Bay area as much as possible, but he will be on parole. There are conditions. We'll hear from the parole board, and it'll be very interesting to hear from a woman that sat on the parole board, and I thought she really explained to OJ very intelligently her thinking, and that OJ better keep his nose clean. and you're going to hear from her. And basically, people were on the edge of their couches yesterday, people tuning in from all over the country to see this thing, because I think a lot of people, truthfully, I think are in disbelief. Like, a lot of people just thought that OJ would rot in prison. He would die in prison. He wouldn't get out. That would be it was the end of, the Buffalo Bills quarterback. It would be the end of OJ Simpson's career. I mean, he made a name for himself, not only in the football field, but in the movies, in commercials. They didn't think OJ would be able to survive this, but yet, and it is kind of one of those things where, how is it that bad people, you have to ask yourself that question, seem to get away with everything and seem to just make it out? And folks, that's a mystery. There's a lot of evil people walking around that seem to get away with a lot of things, but there's going to be one day that OJ is going to meet his maker, and he's going to have to explain himself to the Lord Almighty, and I certainly would not want to be around anywhere close to it, because he's going to pay dearly. Tanya Brown, Nicole Brown Simpson's sister, I'd say that she's very brave. She reminds us this is 23 years later and trying to make sense of everything. Listen how strong and courageous she is.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it brings me back to 23 years ago sitting in that room, or 22 years ago now, sitting in that courtroom with the sweaty hands and the visceral feeling in the belly. It's not easy. What we have to try to do, and somehow I'm able to do this, where I have been able to separate what happened in 1994 to this case. And that's a really important thing, regardless no matter what the outcome is, whether he's released, whether he's not released, it's under Nevada state law. And in order for me to not get mad or get depressed or get anxious, that's the mindset I have to have, where this is the law and whatever the parole board says, it is. And I've been saying it for years. It is what it is. I can't control things that I can't change, and I can't. So my only option really is just to accept it. If he gets released, then I have to accept that. And to me, that's just an easier way. But again, this is 23 years ago from, the murder of Nicole and Ron. This is new, but, it's bringing up a whole bunch of anxieties because, and forgive me stumbling. I'm nervous. I witnessed something when I was on, he was on, he got really angry, and then he got really empathetic. And I'm like, has he really learned?
Yeah, that's a good question. Tanya Brown, talking and reminiscing and, watching this as a lot of Americans watched it. And if you didn't, arrogant O.J. Simpson. But I was, I guess, a little surprised he actually didn't look bad for a 70-year-old man. I had a friend tell me that black doesn't crack. At least in O.J. Simpson's, he looks good. A little grayer, obviously, but working out. He was coaching. His knees are kind of bum, we understand, but was a model inmate and was able to keep his nose clean in prison, and he'll be released in October. And what everybody was waiting for on edge and keeping people glued to the TV was the parole board and whether or not the four would actually agree in unison. They all did, but a lot of the experts that study this and a lot of the legal scholars were saying that, he's going to get this thing. He spent his time. He was a model citizen. And we had to remind a lot of America yesterday, a lot of the talking heads, was that this was the first real criminal offense for OJ because he was acquitted for the double homicide. And he wasn't, he wasn't charged. He wasn't, a criminal. Didn't have any federal charges against him. So it was a first deal. And when you're a first-time offender, you got a clean record. Well, this is what happens. Here is what folks were waiting for and the reaction, the judgment on O.J. Simpson.
Mr. Simpson, you organized this crime in which 2 victims were robbed at gunpoint. It was a serious crime, and there was no excuse for it. You deserve to be sent to prison. You've been in prison now